Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. We are continuing with our reviews of all of the knives that Old Tonto Guy sent to the channel way back in January. Big shout out to him. And since last week we took a look at this horrible war crime, I figured today we'd take a look at something that's really good. In fact, this is my favorite knife that was in the stuff that he sent, the Steel Will Sedge. Spoiler alert, I really like this knife. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into why. Let's start off with a blade length measurement. Sharpened edge here, coming in about 3 1/4, well, a little bit over 3 1/4 inches. Let's get this actually on screen. Overall blade length, just a hair under 3.5 inches. So, it's a full-size knife, but it doesn't feel quite that large. It's a very slim knife. It's a very smallish knife in that regard. All right, let's go ahead and get our size comparisons out here. Here's the Rat 1 and the Rat 2. Kind of an in-between size, as so many knives are. Put those back. Let's bring out our Civivis. There's the Elementum. And there's the Praxis. Good stuff. And let's finish up with our USA made comparisons. PM2 and the Benchmade bug out. Very similar in size to the bug out, actually, just about identical. Awesome. What are we looking at in terms of our materials? Well, we have a D2 blade. This is a very aggressive spear point. And we have G10 scales. Let's focus in on that camera. Thank you. With an aluminum backspacer, steel clip, and it is a steel liner lock, and we are running on phosphor bronze washers. Let's go ahead and go cut some stuff. Well, guys, I'm finally doing it. I'm finally getting around to the review cutting of the Steel Will Sedge. I've been trying to get some review cutting done with this knife for so long. But I've always been busy or something came up. I've come out so many times trying to do review cutting and got interrupted. But today we're finally getting her done. And I'm really excited about that because I love this knife. I have been carrying this knife so much. Of all the knives that were in the big box that Old Tonto Guy sent to the channel, this one is definitely my favorite. This one really stole the show. I was not expecting to love this knife as much as I do. Let's go ahead and get into why that is. So I'll start off with the action. This knife is running on phosphor bronze washers, which I think is really interesting. It has an amazing blade hole, great access with the thumb or your reverse flicking finger, an oval shape, snaps out really nicely. I mean, your thumb just lands in there so perfectly. It is such a good action, perfect leverage on that, great detent. Reverse flick is also absolutely amazing, feels so satisfying, sounds good too. Now, you're not going to get that, drop close, drop shutty glide that you get from bearings, but I'm fine with that. Honestly, this is my favorite kind of pocket knife action. I love that consistency, that slow, just kind of glide. It is very smooth all the way through. I like it. That's going to be up to personal preference, but for me, I love that kind of action, so I'm all about it. Let's go ahead and talk about the ergos. So the handle looks really interesting, right? It really slopes down drastically, kind of a pistol grip. It works so well. This knife is very comfortable. Contoured scales. I like this raised backspacer. The clip doesn't bother me in the hand. You've got some jimping right here, which works out all right. You can choke up into this little area, kind of do a trigger pull. And the way the handle cants backward, it really points the tip in a very natural way. So if you're doing a long cut like that, I mean, I guess maybe if you're in a Friday night gas station fight, kind of situation, it's good for that too. But, for me, just through everyday use and carry, it was just a really comfortable knife to get things done with. So let's go ahead and talk about the carry. Pocket clip is reversible. It comes with another clip in the packaging, I'm guessing. So yay, lefties, you are included. And again, like I said, the access to the hole is nice on both sides, so lefties are not going to have a problem with that at all. Let's go ahead, tilt down to the crotch cam. Not wearing jeans today. I'm not sure if that affects the pocket carry thing. Actually, we're going to take this off real quick. Let go you. There we go. There it is in the pocket. Rides really, really easily. The clip works pretty well. When I was wearing jeans, it also worked. The clip maybe could be too tight depending on the thickness of your pants, but I didn't really run into any issues. It's not a deep carry clip. I don't think that's an issue. I think that's actually completely fine for what this is. I just realized we're in a lot of shadow right here today, but we will roll with it. But yeah, in and out of the pocket, really nice. It folds up to a very narrow package. Get that pencil out of the way. Folds up into a nice narrow package. It's not going to be very hard to carry at all, I don't think. All right. Let's go ahead and do some cutting. D2 blade, fully flat ground, and a very aggressive spear point. But what this gives you is just an incredibly useful knife. Oh, this thing slices like no one's business. Oh my gosh, this thing is an absolute monster. While I was using this knife, I was always just so impressed with how well it cuts. It's just fantastic, and because of that blade shape, you can do very effective utility cuts. Really, really nice. Kind of a do-it-all blade shape, to be honest. I love it. I love it a whole lot. Pick up this piece that went over here. It's wicked, and look how thin that is. Look how thin that point is. Talk about pokey. I mean, the barest bit of effort, and it's penetrating. What a stabby little guy. So, yeah, great slicer. Oh, I need to go and get the rope and pool noodle and stuff. All right, we are back in action. Go ahead and adjust this a little bit. Sun is pretty bright out here. I'm having trouble seeing the screen. We don't need the pool noodle right now. We need the rope. Wonderful. See here. Yeah, that did really nicely. Even though this knife is very thin behind the edge, since it is a full flat grind, you're carrying a lot of strength down towards the actual edge itself, which is one of the reasons why I love full flat grinds. You can get very thin and still maintain a lot of strength. All right, pool noodle time. See what we got here. Oh my gosh. Ooh. Oh, that was so close. Okay, let's see if we can try that again. Okay, wow. Guys, that just whispered through that pool noodle. That felt amazing. Now, this is a Gideon edge. This is not factory edge, but that geometry on there, the blade geometry, is built for slicing. I mean, look at these. Look how thin and consistent that is. This one here, we almost got an entire ring before we, started to drag a little bit and before it got too thin to really be cut effectively. But we almost got a full slice, and look how thin that is. That might have been, if I had gotten it all the way, that might have been the thinnest pool noodle cut we've ever done. What a beast. What an absolute beast of a knife. This is one hell of an everyday slicer. Let's go ahead and get back to the table. Alrighty guys, we are back. Let's go ahead and talk about what I'm liking and not liking about this knife, and there's going to be a lot that I like. So number one, I do like the look of this knife. This is a very striking knife. For a long time, like many years, I saw this knife on different retailer websites, and I was always interested in it. It really stood out to me. It is very unique. We have kind of this pistol grip with this very thin, kind of narrow, pokey blade. It definitely stands out from a crowd. And even though this isn't my normal aesthetic, I'm really, really drawn to the way this knife looks. I also like the black on blue. That's really cool to me. There is another version of this that has gray G10, a red backspacer, and a coated blade. It also looks really, really nice. So it's cool that they give you two different versions, but yeah, I think it's a cool looking knife. Next thing, the ergonomics. Yeah, these are good. The ergonomics are real good. We already talked about how the handle's kind of a pistol grip. The way this knife sits in your hand, it feels like it's ready to go to work. You are locked in. Even though the handle is kind of smooth, the way it curves, it hugs your hand and it just locks in. We've got some jimping up here, not on the spine of the blade, but kind of back here on the handle. It works. It's very good. It's effective jimping. I would have loved to see some on the spine, but that's because I love jimping. You guys know that. The scales themselves are contoured, and this G10 is awesome. Focus up, camera. Focus up. I really, really love these G10 scales. These feel super premium. They feel like special G10, but I like they're contoured, but also like chamfered in a lot of really good ways. Just a very sophisticated feeling handle. Feels just, oh, it's so nice in hand. So yeah, love all that. The pocket clip doesn't bother me in the hand. I don't even notice that it's there. That's something that you typically get with clips that are non-deep carry. They kind of follow the contour of the knife better. They kind of sit in your hand better. And yeah, I feel that all here. Just really, really solid ergonomically. Even though this is a narrow handle, it's a thin handle, it's very hand-filling, and I think that's really, really cool. Next up, access to the lock bar is excellent. They give you they give you some good jimping on that liner. So I'm pretty impressed with that. And speaking of the liners and the scales, the liners are countersunk into the scales, and I think that's cool. That's really, really, really classy. The pocket clip works really well, and out of the pocket, I didn't have any complaints with it. It's a cool looking pocket clip in my opinion. They do send you another clip in the packaging, and this is reversible, so lefties rejoice. They did not forget about you. Always love to see that. I do like that the lanyard hole is integrated into the backspacer. I'm not a big lanyard guy on my folding knives, but if you are, I'm sure you'll appreciate that. Let's go ahead and talk about the action. So this knife is running on washers, and I love that. I love this kind of action. I really think that we do not have enough washer knives anymore. Everything's bearings, and I get it. Bearings are nice, right? They give you that consistent, smooth, glassy feeling, the drop shuttiness. But I love the deliberateness that washers can bring a knife. And I mentioned glassy smoothness with bearings. Honestly, I kind of feel that consistency more with washers. I don't know, it just feels nice. This blade hole is shaped perfectly for the thumb flick or the reverse flick. The detent is tuned excellently. Real Steel knows how to do, not Real Steel. Oh my goodness, guys. Tongue twister today. Steel Will knows how to tune a detent really, really nicely. A lot of their knives, they've done a lot of knives on washers, and they have flippers and stuff. They tune their detents perfectly. But yeah, I like this action. Feels really great to me. Again, not going to be like drop shutty, but it's nice and smooth. So I like it. If you don't like washer actions, you may not like this one, but if you do, I think you'll adore it as much as I do. All right, let's go ahead and talk about what's probably the standout on this knife, and that's the blade. This blade is so good, guys. It's really good. Full flat grind. That tip gets nice and low. You can get to your utility cuts effortlessly. You have a gently sloping edge, just a little bit of belly. But what you end up with is a knife that kind of has all the best features of a Wharncliffe mixed with all the best features of a drop point. It just blasts through material. Very thin behind the edge. I mean, look at that. Look at that tip. This thing is a lightsaber. Great distal taper on this. You've got quite a bit of thickness actually back here. So the blade is not, it's not a weak blade, but man, it's got such great geometry. This is This is a knife that will cut and cut and cut even when it starts losing its initial sharpness behind or at the edge, just because of how well done the geometry is. That blade hole obviously doesn't get in the way when anything's passing through. Sharpening choil, they did okay. Probably get a couple more sharpenings. The edge I have on here right now is, I've been using this knife a lot. The edge kind of looks ugly, but pretty sure it's still pretty sharp. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good edge. Good edge. I was just blown away with how this knife performed, and it's a mixture of how the ergonomics put the knife in your hand as well as the blade geometry. It all just comes together into a package that is effortless and useful for just about anything. This is a knife that I've been carrying more than probably any other knife this year so far. I know we're in April, it might be a little bit too early to call, but I'm going to go ahead and venture a guess that this knife is going to be on my list of most carried knives of the year 2024 at the end of the year. I've just put so much pocket time on this guy. It would be hard to imagine that that's not the case. I love this knife. I really do. Let's go ahead and talk about a few negatives. The number one negative that I'm going to bring up is that the price on this knife is a little bit weird. So I've seen these on Blade HQ for around $80. I'm not sure I would pay that much for this knife. It's D2 G10. Again, like, the way the handles are shaped is really excellent. This is some high quality G10. The blade is awesome. There's a lot of work that went into this knife. This knife definitely feels a little more special than maybe some other budget knives, but I'm not sure I'd pay $80 for it. However, I see these on Amazon for like 45 bucks, 35 bucks. That's a great price. At that price, this is a no-brainer. Let me check another website right now and see what the price is. Okay, so I just checked Knife Center, and they've got this going for about 60 bucks right now. It looks like it's a special price. I'd pay 60 bucks for this. I think that's good. But yeah, once you get up into like that $80 range, again, this is a great knife, but I'm just, that's a hard thing for me to swallow. It's a hard thing for me to swallow. Next up, some people probably won't like all the branding on the blade. I really don't mind having the name of a knife on the blade, personally. But the branding could be a little much for some people. T6 hardware back here, there is a lot of hardware. I don't mind that there's a lot of hardware. It helps the knife feel really solid, but, you know, T6s, there's a bunch of them. You know, could be a little bit annoying. And that's about it. Let's go ahead and move on to my final opinions. Final opinions on this knife. I absolutely love this knife. This is a fantastic EDC knife, and this is probably in my top 10 favorite pocket knives of all time. That's how impressed I am with this knife. I enjoyed every minute of carry with this knife. I'm going to continue to carry this knife for a very long time. This is an absolutely incredible pocket knife. In a lot of ways, it's a no frills knife. It's, you know, simple and clean. I'm going to wipe that blade off because I've got all kinds of dirty fingerprints on there. In a lot of ways, it's kind of a plain knife, but it's also very complex and very sophisticated in a lot of surprising ways. Again, the handle really impresses me. The way the handle and the blade work together, you can tell this knife was designed. And I have not seen a new release from Steel Will in a long time. I don't hear people talk about Steel Wheel that much anymore. I know for a while they were pretty popular with like the Modus and the Cut Jack and stuff. But I really don't hear people talking about Steel Wheel anymore. And I think that's a shame because they bring a lot of quality to the table. There are a lot of things that they're doing right. There's a lot of things that they're paying attention to that certain other companies aren't. Their knives are made to be tools. They're made to work. And everything about this knife testifies to that. I'm rooting for Steel Wheel. I love what they're doing. This is a great knife. Do I recommend it? Absolutely, 100%. 100%. Why'd you have to ask? Yes, I can recommend this knife. I love this knife a lot. If you can find it, like I said, check Amazon. They've got really, really good prices. Then check Knife Center. But yeah, even if you end up paying the 80 bucks or whatever at Blade HQ, it's a little bit high, but I don't think you'll be disappointed just because of how well this knife is built and how useful it is. So there we go, steel wheel Sedge, an instant classic for me. I love this knife. Oh, actually, you know what? Here's another negative. Because it has this raised back spacer, it doesn't stand up. You know what? Never mind. Absolute fail. Absolute fail. Can't recommend this knife. Gosh. Nah, I'm just kidding. I love this knife. Anyways, that's going to be it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed the video, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. Big shout out to my channel members up here. These are my members at the cowboy level. If you want to be a member, you can join below. You get access to all kinds of cool perks and giveaways. And giveaways are open to members at any level. So if you're into that, go ahead and join up. But yeah, that's going to be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.